Okay, right. Let's unpack this. You've shared quite a stack of sources here, all about studying in the UK in 2025,
Mm.
and specifically looking at, well, can you get around needing that standard IELTS test?
Yeah, that's the core question, really.
So this deep dive, it's totally custom tailored for you, designed to sort of cut through the information, get straight to what matters.
Exactly.
Our mission then is to figure out, is this actually possible? How does it really work? And what are the opportunities, maybe the potential hiccups along the way?
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
So first big question then, based on all this material you sent over,
Mhm.
is studying in the UK next year, 2025, without taking IELTS. Is
Yeah.
that a real viable option?
Yes, absolutely. The sources are pretty clear on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it seems many UK universities are definitely welcoming international students for 2025 entry without demanding those specific IELTS scores.
Right.
The main thing, the key takeaway, seems to be that they're actively providing, alternative ways for students to prove their English skills.
That flexibility, I mean, that sounds like a huge plus for a lot of people.
It really does.
Obviously, there's the access to, great UK education, world-renowned universities, diverse student life. But what else makes this non-IELTS route appealing, according to what you found?
Well, the material suggests it can just make the whole application process feel a bit less daunting for some students.
Less pressure, maybe.
Exactly. By recognizing different ways to show English ability, universities are potentially cutting down on the stress, the time maybe, involved in prepping just for one specific test like IELTS.
Right, like putting all your eggs in one basket.
Sort of, yeah. It seems to open the door for people to show they're competent in ways that might just fit their background better.
Okay, so if IELTS isn't the only gatekeeper, how are students proving their English skills? What are these alternatives the sources talk about?
Okay, so the research points to a few main pathways. A really common one is showing that your previous education, maybe high school or an earlier degree, was actually taught in English.
Oh, okay, so if your classes were already in English.
Precisely. You might just need an official letter or certificate from your old school, often called a Medium of Instruction Certificate, or MOI.
An MOI. That makes logical sense, using past studies as proof. What other ways did the sources mention?
Well, quite a few universities have actually developed their own internal English tests.
Oh, interesting. Like an entrance exam specific to them?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they'll conduct interviews as part of the application to let them gauge your skills directly.
Mhm.
And the sources also definitely mentioned that other big international tests, like PTE, TOEFL, even the Duolingo English test.
Duolingo. Really?
Yeah, apparently a growing number of universities are accepting those as well.
Wow, accepting Duolingo really shows things are diversifying, doesn't it?
It does seem that way.
I also saw mentions of pre-sessional English courses. How did they fit into this picture?
Ah, yes, that's another key route. So if your current English level doesn't quite hit the mark for direct entry, even with other proofs,
Hmm.
some universities offer these intensive English courses before your main degree starts. They're called pre-sessional courses.
Like a bridge program.
Exactly. You successfully finish one of those, maybe it lasts a few weeks, and that can then qualify you for your actual degree program. The sources mentioned a student, Darshan K., who apparently used a 6-week pre-sessional course at UCLan, University of Central Lancashire, to meet the requirements.
That sounds like a really practical solution for some students.
It can be, yeah, a good bridging option.
The material listed quite a few universities doing these kinds of things. Could you maybe highlight one or two examples that stood out?
Sure. Um, let's see. The sources mentioned the University of Bristol, for instance. They seem to accept proof of prior education or might do interviews.
Okay.
Birmingham City University was mentioned as considering high school English grades, but only from certain countries, so you need to check that.
Right, specifics matter.
Definitely. The University of Essex came up too, explicitly accepting those MOI certificates. One case study mentioned a student named Rahul, who apparently got in that way.
Okay, good examples.
Yeah. And others listed with various alternative routes included places like Sheffield, Portsmouth, Bolton, Greenwich, Plymouth. It really shows there isn't just one single approach across the board.
That variety is helpful for students looking around. So, okay, let's say someone wants to go down one of these non-IELTS paths. What does the application process actually look like based on the sources? Is it very different?
It mostly follows the standard university application path, but obviously with that specific focus on providing your alternative English proof,
Hmm.
the absolute first step, and the sources really stress this, is deep research. You have to check each university's official website.
For their specific rules.
Exactly. Confirm their exact alternative requirements, what proofs they accept for the course you want. That's crucial.
Okay, research first. Then what?
Then you gather your usual documents. Academic transcripts, obviously, your chosen proof of English, like that MOI letter, or scores from another accepted test, your personal statement, reference letters, the standard package.
And then you just submit all that through the normal channels, like UCS, the central UK system, or
Yeah.
maybe directly to the uni?
Exactly that, through UCS or the university's own portal, depending on how they operate.
Right.
After you submit, depending on the uni and the proof you offered, you might then be asked for an interview or to take their internal English test if they use one.
And then the final hurdle, the visa.
The visa, yes.
Yeah.
The critical final step.
So can you actually get a UK student visa if you haven't taken IELTS specifically?
Yes, you definitely can. The sources are clear on this too.
Sure, okay.
The absolute key, though, is making sure that the proof of English you use to get your university offer is also accepted by UK visas and Immigration UKVA.
So the university acceptance isn't automatically enough for the visa people.
Not quite. The university needs to issue you what's called a Confirmation of Acceptance for Studies, or CAS letter.
Right, the CAs.
And that CAS letter must state that your English proficiency meets the required UKVI standard, even if the university assessed you using an alternative method like an interview or MOI.
Okay, so the university confirms it on the CAS for UKV.
Correct. And of course, you still need the other visa requirements, like proving you have enough money for tuition and living costs.
Got it. So the uni might be flexible, but you need to be double sure their method lines up with what UKV will accept for the visa itself.
Precisely. Due diligence is important there.
What about potential challenges then? Did the sources highlight any difficulties students might face trying this route?
Yeah, a few things came up. One is simply, well, awareness. Lots of students might not even know these non-IELTS options exist.
Just assuming IELTS is mandatory.
Pretty much. Also, navigating those UKVI requirements to make sure your specific proof is definitely accepted can take, careful checking. The material also pointed out that some very specific or maybe highly competitive courses might still insist on IELTS regardless of the university's general policy.
So course level rules might differ.
Potentially, yeah. And finally, things like those pre-sessional courses, while helpful, can sometimes add extra time and cost to the overall process.
Those are definitely important things to keep in mind. But overall, it sounds like the research really does confirm there are solid, workable alternatives out there.
Absolutely, the path exists.
Okay. So wrapping this up, this deep dive into your sources really does confirm it. Studying in the UK in 2025 without IELTS is genuinely possible.
It offers real flexibility.
Yeah, through alternatives like proving past education in English, university's own tests, or other exams like PTE or TOEFL.
We saw examples, different universities doing it, the steps involved.
Right. From doing that vital upfront research on uni websites all the way to navigating the visa with the right confirmation.
It definitely seems to lower one specific hurdle for many potential students.
And just broadens the ways you can show you've got the English skills needed. What's really quite insightful here, I think, is seeing how international education, university admissions, how it's all adapting.
It's an evolving landscape for sure.
Which kind of leads to a big question for you, the listener, to think about as you process all this. How might this growing flexibility in language requirements, how might it change not just who can access high-quality UK education, but also potentially reshape the bigger picture, the broader patterns of global student movement in the years ahead? Something to mull over.